And after a Caitlin Clark game, they had made the most money at that game of any game they've ever had off ticket prices. Why? Because people were willing to pay more for tickets.
The league lost 50% of its ratings.
Yes.
So when you see this downward 8-year NBA trajectory, it's been gradual.
Yes.
But here we are. Caitlin Clark was not on that list. Now, let me understand this, okay? Caitlin Clark exploded ratings.
Time magazine just made the biggest mistake of 2024, and Colin Cowherd isn't letting them get away with it. They left Caitlin Clark, the rookie who literally transformed women's basketball, off their 100 most influential people list. Like, are you serious right now? This isn't just a small oversight. We're talking about a player who has broken viewership records, sold out arenas, and changed how millions view the WNBA.
And there's no Caitlin Clark?
No, I don't think so.
That's idiotic. That's the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
I don't know how long. Their ratings were so large, it led them to land a huge media rights contract.
Meanwhile, they included Breanna Stewart. Don't get me wrong, Stewart is amazing, but Clark turned the league upside down in just a few months. Cowherd called it idiotic, and honestly, he might be underselling it. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great! Thank you so much. Now, back to the video.
Realize this, Time magazine released a 100 most influential people in the world.
WNBA, and they set all-time ratings records. If Caitlin Clark's not in this, the list is nonsense. Who did the list? Time magazine?
Yeah.
You know what's crazy? Colin Cowherd didn't just disagree with Time. He absolutely destroyed them for this decision. When one of sports media's biggest voices goes after a legendary publication like Time magazine, you know something serious is happening. Cowherd didn't hold back at all, calling their decision to snub Caitlin Clark from their influential list idiotic and the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Those aren't just casual comments, that's him going all out on a major publication. Think about what's happening here. A respected sports analyst with a massive platform is risking his reputation by attacking Time magazine so strongly. This isn't just about some random list. There's something much bigger happening that got Cowherd fired up enough to put his own credibility on the line. So what exactly set Cowherd off? He compared Clark's immediate impact on women's basketball to legends like Michael Jordan and Tiger Woods, superstars who completely transformed their sports overnight. That's not a comparison any analyst makes lightly. When you mention a rookie in the same breath as Jordan and Woods, you're making a statement about once-in-a-generation talent. The real kicker is that the numbers totally back him up. Clark's games are pulling in millions of viewers. We're talking about record-breaking audiences for a league that was struggling to fill arenas before she arrived.
Nafisa Collier, Colin, what makes someone worthy of a times 100?
How is
list?
Caitlin Clark not in this?
That's a joke.
Caitlin Clark was not included on Time magazine's list of the 100 most influential people of 2025, which released on Wednesday.
The Indiana Fever went from afterthought to must-see TV literally the moment Clark stepped onto the court. Cowherd pointed out how ridiculous it is to ignore someone who literally changed an entire league's trajectory in just months. He didn't sugarcoat it either, reminding everyone that the WNBA was being subsidized by the NBA before Clark arrived. Now we're seeing sellout crowds, merchandise flying off shelves, and media coverage that women's basketball has never experienced before, all because of one rookie. What makes this even more bizarre is that Time included Breanna Stewart on their list. Now don't get me wrong, Stewart is an incredible player, multiple-time champion, and definite superstar. But Cowherd called this out specifically. Stewart, for all her talents, hasn't fundamentally changed the business of women's basketball like Clark has in just her first few months as a pro.
Caitlin Clark did not make this list, and a lot of people noticed it, including Colin Cowherd.
That's not a knock on Stewart. It's just acknowledging the unprecedented business impact Clark has brought. The most shocking part of Cowherd's rant, he claimed this omission actually hurts Time's credibility more than it hurts Clark. He basically said the list becomes meaningless when it ignores such obvious influence and impact. When your most influential list doesn't include the person who's generating more interest, revenue, and attention for her sport than anyone in recent memory, what exactly are you measuring? Cowherd's criticism isn't just angry sports talk or clickbait commentary. It's backed by real numbers that can't be ignored.
But here we are. Caitlin Clark was not on that list. Now, let me understand this, okay? Caitlin Clark exploded ratings, and after a Caitlin Clark game, they had made the most money at that game of any game they've ever had off ticket prices. Why? Because people were willing to pay more for tickets.
We're talking about viewership data that shows games jumping from thousands to millions of viewers, ticket sales that have teams moving to larger arenas for the first time ever, social media engagement numbers that look more like what you'd see for established NBA superstars, not WNBA rookies. What Clark is doing is literally redefining women's basketball's place in American sports. Before her arrival, the WNBA was fighting for any mainstream attention it could get.
The league lost 50% of its ratings.
Yes.
So when you see this downward 8-year NBA trajectory, it's been gradual.
Yes.
Now it's featured prominently on major networks, social media feeds, and sports talk shows across the country. The transformation happened almost overnight, and that's exactly what Cowherd couldn't believe time would ignore. It's worth noting that this isn't just about women's sports getting respect either. Cowherd made it clear this is about recognizing genuine influence, regardless of gender. When someone comes along and completely changes the trajectory of an entire professional sports league in their rookie season, that's the definition of influence, and it should be recognized as such. There's also something to be said about how this connects to larger conversations about how we value different sports and athletes. Clark isn't just changing games, she's changing perceptions about what women's basketball can be as entertainment, as business, and as a cultural force. Time overlooking that impact feels like missing something fundamental about how sports influence our culture. The irony in all of this is that by snubbing Clark, Time actually created even more conversation around her impact. Cowherd's fiery takedown is just one example of the many voices that immediately called out this oversight, which ultimately only reinforces how influential Clark has actually become. When your absence from a list generates more discussion than most people's inclusion, that says something powerful about your actual influence. So here's the deal. Time. Magazine has seriously missed the boat on this one. What's fascinating about Cowherd's defense is how it reflects Clark's undeniable cultural impact. Think about it. When was the last time a rookie had major media personalities fighting this hard for them? This controversy goes way beyond a simple magazine snub. It exposes how we measure influence in sports. Should it be based on established names or actual game-changing impact? Clark is literally forcing the conversation about women's sports into mainstream media. Did Time drop the ball completely, or is Cowherd making too much noise? Drop your thoughts below.